Hello, survivors. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the story, if you haven't already done, so please subscribe. My palms were already slipping on the steel wheel of the blast door when the first body hit it from the other side. The impact rang through the corridor, a deep metallic boom that vibrated up my arms and into my teeth. Something on the far side shrieked too high, too wet, and the sound knifed down the concrete tunnel under Cheyenne Mountain. I put my shoulder into the wheel and cranked harder. Behind me, Finn whimpered. "Dad, stay behind the yellow line," I snapped, harsher than I meant to. Back against the wall, eyes up. "Count your breaths. Counting keeps him from crying." It kept him from crying the night his mom walked out. It kept him from crying at my brother's funeral. And it's the only thing I can give him now, inside a mountain built to launch the end of the world. The thing on the other side of the door hit again, a bone and meat thud followed by the screech of nails on steel. The blast door shuddered in its housing. We are 2 hours into the end of everything. 2 hours since Sergeant Parrish staggered into the security office with blood on his collar and glassy eyes and told us there'd been incident topside. 2 hours since I watched our medical tech, Jensen, convulse and then tear out a nurse's throat with his teeth. 2 hours since the first kill shot I ever took on a friendly. I grit my teeth and keep turning the wheel. The muscles in my forearms burn. Sweat runs down into my gloves, stinging the raw spot on my palm where Jensen's blood splashed, and I scrubbed my skin until it went red. 41, 42. Finn's voice is thin but steady. 11 years old. Too small in the oversized hoodie I pulled over his head when the alarm started. His sneakers squeak on the polished concrete as he shifts his weight against the wall. I should never have brought him to the mountain. Family Day, they called it. A tour of the visitor center, the museum wing, maybe a peek through the glass at the main control room, if you had the right clearance. Show your kids where democracy sleeps at night, the CO joked at briefing. Democracy is screaming on the other side of this door. The locking pins finally slam home with a deep hydraulic thunk. The wheel resists, then gives one last notch, and the indicator over the blast door flicks from amber to red, secured. Whatever is on the far side slams into it again, hard enough to rattle dust from the overhead conduit trays. The shriek that follows is not human, not anymore. It sounds like a recording of human terror, played at half speed, and then sped up until the pitch breaks. Good, I mutter, more to myself than to Finn. My heart is still sprinting, lungs clawing at the stale air. Door holds, we're good. We're good. It's a lie, but sometimes lies are just hope with bad odds. Morales limps up from farther down the corridor, rifle tucked tight, helmet askew. Blood too dark to be fresh has dried in a spray pattern across his front plate. His eyes flick from the door to me to Finn. "You get it sealed?" he asks. I nod, straightening slowly. My arms tremble. Last of the Sector C blast doors. If they want in now, they're chewing through alloy and 10 feet of rock. They're not chewing rock, Finn whispers. They're chewing people. The kid's too smart for his own good. Morales hesitates. "You good, little man?" Finn swallows. I'm at 58 breaths. "That's a lot of breaths," Morales says. His voice is gravel warm, a sound I've trusted through too many bad patrols, too many unmarked roads. Means you're still here. Mountain's still here. Your old man still ugly. Finn's mouth twitches, just barely. It's enough. I check my watch out of habit. 1,423 hours. The outbreak, if that's what we're calling it, kicked off at 12:21 by my count. I remember the time stamp because I was logging a visitor pass when the first overhead alert blared, and my brain still clings to numbers as if they're handholds on a cliff. Survived the first 12 hours, the colonel said in that clipped, trying to be calm voice over the base intercom earlier. Shelter in place. Locked down. Wait for guidance. Guidance is not coming. No one says it, but we all hear it in the static between broken radio calls and scrambled emergency broadcasts. This isn't local. It isn't contained. We are buried inside a mountain missile base with the dead trying to chew their way through. Sector C secure, I say, more for the record in my head than anything else. Now we get to the command level. Morales glances toward the far end of the corridor, where a heavy security door waits, access panel blinking standby blue. Beyond that is a stairwell, then another corridor, and then 3 more sets of security doors before you hit the main control center, the nerve cluster where the missile teams sit in their sunless room and pretend we'll never actually turn keys. Assuming they haven't locked us out, he says. They need bodies, I shoot back. They'll take whoever's breathing. Even as I say it, I picture the colonel in the control center, counting personnel, calculating risks, deciding who's expendable. I've been on the other end of those decisions. In Helmand, our platoon went down a valley we shouldn't have because someone far away decided the intel was good enough. My brother Jake was in that platoon. I led the column. I was the one who said, "We can push it." The IED took him instead of me. Hey, Morale's hand lands briefly on my shoulder, anchor strong. You're drifting. I blink, drag my attention back to the corridor. Yeah, sorry. Drifting gets you killed. Drifting gets your kid killed. Finn, I say. On me. Stay centered. Left hand on my belt. Remember? Yes, sir. He pushes off the wall and comes to my side, small fingers curling into the back loop of my belt, like we practiced in the supermarket. In fairs, in crowds. Stay attached. Stay found. I raise my rifle and move toward the security door. Every step echoes. The bass, usually a muted hum of HVAC and distant chatter and keyboard clatter, feels wrong, hollow. The air smells like metal filings and something sweeter underneath, like rotting fruit. Every now and then, something slams into the other side of the blast doors we just sealed. Sometimes it's a frantic human pounding fists, palms, hoarse screams. Sometimes it's that other sound, the one that makes the hairs on my arms bristle. We don't open the doors. That's the first unforgivable thing I do today. The security door accepts my card with a soft beep, then flashes access override in angry red letters. Shit, I breathe. Command level lockdown. Morale steps up, swiping his own card. Same result. He punches in a code on the keypad. Access override, it repeats, as if mocking him. They sealed the stairwell, he says. Because the infection's running wild downstairs, I answer. Or because they don't want anyone but cleared personnel anywhere near the keys that could end what is left of the world. I slam my fist lightly against the frame, thinking. There's another route, but it's worse. The service shaft that runs parallel to the main elevators. An industrial throat filled with ladders, conduit, and rattling pipes. It bypasses one of the security doors, connects to a maintenance landing 1 level below the control room. What about the shaft? I ask. Morales grimaces. It's a 100-foot climb in full kit with a kid on your back. That's what. We don't have another option. I look at Finn. Sweat dampens his hairline. His freckles stand out against his too pale skin. We can't stay in Sector C. If anything breaches, there's no fallback. Command level's got food, water, independent air, thicker doors. If we want to last 12 hours, we go up. Morales runs a hand over his face, leaving a smear of dried blood on his cheek. Maintenance access is through the missile gallery, he says. If they're loose in there, they already are, I say. We heard the shots. We all heard them. A flurry of gunfire echoing through the ducts 20 minutes ago, then one long scream that turned into gurgling silence. Then what's the plan? Morales asks. Same plan I've had since this started. Get Finn somewhere the walls are thicker than the teeth trying to get through. We move fast, I say. Short bursts, clear corners. Stay off the open floor as much as we can. We avoid contact if we can. If we can't, I look at Finn. He lifts his chin. He's 11, but there's something in his eyes that looks older, cracked. You shoot them in the head, he says. Like in the movie. You already told me. My chest tightens. Yeah, bud. Like in the movie. Except this isn't a movie. In movies, they don't just show you the way a person's eyes are still there for a second after you blow through their skull. They don't show you how long they twitch. We move. The corridor becomes a tunnel of focus. Corners, doorways, shadows. I count our assets like a catechism. 2 rifles, 5 mags each, 1 sidearm on my hip, 2 extra magazines, 1 combat knife, 3 MREs, 1 half-crushed granola bar in Finn's pocket, 2 liters of water between our packs. Ammo is math. Food is math. Distance and time and the rate at which the dead spread through a sealed ecosystem, all math. If I can keep my brain on numbers, it won't spiral into the memory of Jensen's teeth sinking into the nurse's face. We reach the door to the missile gallery. A thick, vault-style portal with a reinforced viewport at eye level. The sign reads authorized personnel, only in block letters that used to feel reassuring. Now they feel like a joke. I take a breath and peer through the viewport. The gallery is a long, high-ceilinged room carved out of the mountain's heart, lit by rows of fluorescent fixtures. 2 missiles sit in their cradles like sleeping giants, enamel-white bodies stretching upward toward the curved ceiling, their nose cones pointed at the rock above. On a normal day, techs would snake between them, checking panels, running diagnostics. Today, the gallery is a slaughterhouse. Bodies litter the floor. Some wear tech coveralls, some security uniforms. All are in pieces. Blood slicks the polished concrete, turning it into a shimmering lake that reflects the overhead lights in warped patterns. And they're not all still. One body twitches near the base of the closest missile. Its legs are gone below the knee, ragged bones showing, but its hands claw weakly at the floor, dragging it inch by inch. Another figure, sprawled on its back, arches suddenly, as if yanked by invisible strings, and then rolls, jaw working. Their eyes are wrong. Clouded, shot through with spiderweb fractures of black, like old marble. Status? Morale's whispers. Bad, I say, but not as many moving as there should be. Maybe most of them bled out before whatever this has hijacked their nervous systems. Finn presses against my side to see, then flinches back. His fingers dig into my belt loop. Stay behind me, I say, no matter what. If I say run, you run. If I say climb, you climb. You don't wait to see why. He nods, eyes too big. I crack the door. The smell hits first. Thick copper and something sour underneath, like a meat locker with the power out. My eyes water. My stomach lurches, but there's nothing in it to come up. We slip inside, boots whispering on the floor. I angle us along the wall, hugging the line of maintenance cabinets. My muzzle tracks every twitch. One of the crawlers spots us. Its head snaps up with a wet crack, nostrils flaring. It lets out a sound halfway, between a growl and a plea, then digs bloody fingers into the floor and drags itself faster. I put a round through its skull. The report slams against the rock and ricochets back, loud enough to make Finn flinch. Keep moving, I say. But the shot wakes the room. Bodies that I thought were truly dead begin to shudder, limbs jerking. One tech pushes himself up on broken wrists, jaw unhinging as if his muscles don't remember how to use it properly yet. Another rolls, snaps a dislocated shoulder back into place with a crack and a howl. Contact left, Morales grunts, firing in controlled bursts. Heads pop, skulls fracture. Gray matter sprays the missile casings, slides down in slow trails. I fire until 3 more are down. Each time I pull the trigger, I see Jensen's face in the scope, the hurt in his eyes when I raised my pistol at him in the infirmary. Please, man. He had gurgled through blood. I don't feel right. I didn't have words for him. Just a shot. A figure in a security uniform lunges from behind a tool cart, faster than the others. Its mouth is a gash of cracked lips and blackened teeth. Its hands are still cuffed behind its back. Someone tried to restrain it, but it hurls its body at Morales, slamming him into the missile cradle. Morales' rifle skitters out of reach. He shouts, struggling. The thing's teeth snap inches from his throat. "Dad!" Finn cries. My body moves before my brain catches up. I pivot, step in, jam my left forearm across the infected's neck, pinning it back. It is hot, too hot. Its skin feels like it's cooking from the inside. It snarls and thrashes, teeth gnashing near my face. Spit-thick, ropey, pink flies. A droplet hits my cheek. I flinch, turning my head, terrified of my own skin. Gun! I bark. Morales grabs for his sidearm, but it's trapped under his weight. Finn moves. He shouldn't. God, he shouldn't. But he snatches Morales' rifle off the floor with both hands, the barrel dipping under the weight. Finn? No. He braces it awkwardly, tiny shoulder against the stock, muzzle shaking inches from my arm, and the thing's skull. I can do it! He yells, voice breaking. The infected snaps at my forearm again. I feel teeth graze my sleeve, the pressure bruising through the fabric. If it bites through, if it breaks skin, center mass is no good, I rasp. Head, Finn, you remember? Head. He nods, jaw clenched, tears standing in his eyes. He inhales, exhales, then squeezes the trigger. The recoil slams the stock into his shoulder, knocking him back a step. The round takes the infected low in the jaw, blowing out its lower teeth and a chunk of tongue. It screams, an awful, wet howl. I feel spatter hit my helmet. Again, I roar. Finn grits his teeth, hauls the barrel up, fires again. This time, the round punches through the infected's forehead. Its body goes limp against my arm, dead weight. I let it drop and step back, chest heaving. For a second, all I can hear is my own pulse in my ears. Then the gallery noise surges back, a chorus of groans, scrapes, and the drip, drip, drip of blood. Nice shot, Morales coughs, shoving the corpse off his legs. He looks at Finn with something like awe and something like horror. You okay, kid? Finn's hands shake on the rifle. My shoulder hurts, he whispers. You'll have a bruise. I gently pry the gun from his grip, sling it over my back. My own hands won't stop trembling. But you're alive. That's what matters. I check my arm. Teeth marks are pressed into the fabric, but there's no tear, no warmth of blood. I run my fingers along the inside of the sleeve just to be sure. Dry. Relief hits so hard my knees almost buckle. Come on, I say hoarsely. We're burning time. We weave through the rest of the gallery, putting down any twitchers that get too close. I try not to look at their faces. Every now and then, I recognize one anyway, a tech who used to trade bad coffee for better, a guard who taught Finn a coin trick in the break room. Survive now, grieve later. At the far end of the gallery, tucked behind a bank of coolant pipes, is the maintenance hatch. It's smaller than I remember, a square of metal with a recessed handle and another card reader. Morales swipes his card. This time, the reader blinks green. Guess they forgot about the little guys, he mutters. Or they assumed anyone making it this far earned the shortcut, I say. The hatch opens with a hiss, revealing a vertical shaft lined with ladder rows and braided cables. It stretches up into darkness, the top lost beyond the spill of the gallery lights. I crane my neck, trying to judge distance. I've done this climb before during a safety inspection. It took me 6 minutes with full oxygen gear and no kid. Okay, I say. My voice echoes faintly in the shaft. Morales, you go first. Clear the landing up top. I'll follow with Finn. We tie him to me so if he slips, he doesn't go far. Finn swallows. I won't slip. I know, I say. Tie anyway. We rig a short length of rope from my pack around Finn's waist and my own. A tether, no longer than an arm span. I test the knots twice. He watches, pupils blown wide. You remember rock climbing? I ask. At the gym with Mom, he says softly. Same idea. 3 points of contact, slow and steady. He nods. Morales starts up, boots ringing on the rungs, rifle slung, breathing loud. I wait until he's 10 feet up, then guide Finn to the ladder. The first step is the worst. He hesitates, toes hovering over the rung. It's okay to be scared, I tell him. Being scared means you're paying attention. Put your foot down. He does. The rung takes his weight. He clings to the side rails, knuckles white. I follow, closing the hatch behind us. The shaft swallows the gallery noise. Suddenly, it's just our breathing, the metal creak of rungs, the hum of power lines vibrating against the walls. We climb. My legs burn. My shoulders ache under the weight of the rifle and pack. Finn's sneakers scuff the rungs inches above my face. Every time he slips a little, my heart lodges in my throat. Don't look down, Morales calls quietly from above. Wasn't planning on it, I grunt. Halfway up, the shaft trembles. It's subtle at first, a vibration in the metal, a shiver in the air. Then a distant boom rolls through the rock, muffled but deep. Dust filters down from above, sprinkling my helmet. What the hell was that? Morales asks. Maybe the surface gates, I say. Or something on the outside. The idea of the dead swarming over the mountain, clawing at blast doors that were designed for nuclear fire, sends a chill down my spine that the sweat can't chase away. Keep moving, I add. Whatever it is, it's not our problem unless it opens the roof. We climb faster. My watch ticks. 1,451. The seconds feel slow and fast at the same time. Every minute we're in this shaft is a minute we're exposed, boxed in, unable to maneuver. My left hand cramps. I flex it, nearly losing my grip, then clamp down harder, knuckles screaming. Almost there, Morales calls. I can see the landing. A rectangle of light blooms above, dim but blessedly there. Morales hauls himself over the lip, then turns, reaching down. Send the kid, he says. Finn, I say, don't stop. Morales has you, go. He climbs. When he reaches the top, Morales catches him under the armpits and lifts him up as if he weighs nothing. For a second, Finn's silhouette hangs in the light, small and fragile against the concrete. Then he's gone, pulled onto the landing. Relief washes through me in a dizzy wave. One more rung, and another. My arms quiver. A sound rises from below. Not the faint echoes of the gallery. Closer, wet, guttural. I glance down. Far below, where the shaft vanishes into shadow, something moves. Hands, or what's left of them, clutch at the lower rungs, pulling a body upward in jerks and spasms. Another form pushes behind it, teeth snapping at the air. They're climbing the ladder. Morales, I say, voice too calm even to my own ears. We've got company. He appears at the top again, eyes going wide as he looks past me. Shit, move, man. I'm moving. The nearest climber is maybe 20 feet below, but they're gaining faster than they should, fingers digging into the metal with unnatural strength. One slips, dangling by one arm, and swings back and resumes climbing as if its shoulder isn't twisted at a wrong angle. I push harder, muscles screaming. My boot slips on a dusty rung. For a split second, my weight jerks down, the ladder ringing. The rope around my waist goes taut. Got you. Finn yells from above, the words strangled with effort. He braces, trying to take some of my weight, small body, leveraging against the landing rail. "Don't look," I gasp. "Just hold." I find the rung again, plant my foot, and shove up. The infected below let out hungry, eager sounds, like kids seeing candy. They're close enough now that I can see the ruin of their faces. One's jaw hangs broken, swinging with each lunge. Another's eyes are gone, sockets weeping black fluid, but it moves with terrible certainty, sniffing the air as if it can smell my blood. "Come on." Morales leans down, gripping the back of my vest. "One more." I surge, legs and arms in sheer terror working together. Morales hauls, the rope around my waist digs into my hips, Finn grunts with the strain. I clear the last rung and sprawl onto the landing in a heap, lungs on fire. Morales slams a boot into my shoulder, shoving me fully away from the edge as skeletal fingers claw at the lip. He brings his rifle up and fires straight down into the shaft. The muzzle flash strobes the concrete. Screams echo up, layered and horrific. "Shut the hatch." I bark, scrambling to my feet. Finn bolts to the maintenance door at the landing. Morales and I grab the heavy inner hatch handle together and heave. It swings down, grinding until it slams into place. I spin the locking wheel with everything I have left. Something slams against the other side, a heartbeat later. The hatch shudders but holds. For now, I sag back against the wall, chest heaving. Sweat stings my eyes. My hands won't stop shaking. Finn presses himself into my side, fingers bunching my sleeve. His whole body trembles. You said they don't climb," he whispers. "I said I hadn't seen them climb," I correct softly. "Now we've seen it. So we adjust." I don't tell him that the rules changing this fast is the worst possible sign. Morales leans his head back, eyes closed for a second, and pushes off the wall. "We're on level -1, he says. "Command's just above." One more door. One more door, I repeat. I check my watch again. 1507. 3 hours into the apocalypse. 9 more to survive if we're going to make it to that 12-hour mark. We step through the maintenance door and into a short corridor that curves toward the main control level. The air here is different, cooler, scrubbed, smelling faintly of electronics instead of blood. For a heartbeat, I let myself hope. The main security door looms ahead, thick and precise, with a biometric scanner and keypad. Behind it, if the plans are right, is the control room with its banks of consoles and big screens, and its independent air and water and food. Nervous system of the mountain, the colonel liked to call it. I swipe my card. The scanner hums. A line of green lights marches across the panel. Access granted, it flashes. There's a hollow thunk as bolts withdraw. Morales exhales slowly. Maybe our luck's turning. I don't believe in luck anymore. I pull the door open. The first thing that hits me is the silence. The control center is usually a soft riot of sound voices trading data, keyboards clacking, printers whirring, screens beeping. Now, banks of monitors glow in a darkened room, casting cold light over empty chairs and abandoned mugs. My boots sound too loud as I step inside. "Hello?" Morales calls. "Command? Colonel Hayes?" No answer. I move between the consoles, rifle sweeping. On one screen, a world map flickers with red warning symbols clustered over major cities. On another, exterior mountain cameras show static, with occasional ghost pale shapes moving through it like snow, except it's late summer. "Dad," Finn whispers. I follow his gaze. On the far side of the room, near the primary console, someone is slumped over a keyboard. A uniform, short hair, broad shoulders. "Colonel?" I approach cautiously. "Sir?" I can see his hand now. It's pale, fingers splayed, the skin around the nails bruised black. "Sir, if you can hear me, say something." I say. He doesn't move. I nudge his shoulder with the muzzle of my rifle. His head rolls limp to the side, revealing a face drained of color, eyes half open, fixed on nothing. His throat is a mess of torn flesh. My stomach drops. A sticky sound comes from the floor. I look down. There's a trail of blood leading away from the colonel's chair, smeared and dragging streaks toward the inner door that leads to the secure comms room. The door is half closed, a shoe wedged in the gap. The shoe is still on a foot. Shit, Morales breathes. Finn's hand clamps around mine. Somewhere beyond that half-closed door, in the comms room that should be our last bastion, something scrapes, something breathes. We are not alone in the safest room in the mountain. I take a breath that tastes like metal and fear, steady my rifle, and look straight at the door. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're from. If this story moves you, please subscribe. Tomorrow, I have a special story for you. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until my lungs started to burn. The scrape from behind the comms room door came again slow, deliberate, like something dragging its nails along metal just to see who would flinch. Finn's fingers dug into my palm. "Dad?" "I know," I murmured. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "Stay behind me. Same rules. Morales, watch our rear. Anything moves in this room that shouldn't, you drop it." "Roger," he said low. The half-closed door to the secure comms compartment was an ugly little miracle. Just enough space to see the shoe, not enough to see what was attached to it. Blood had dried in dark, glossy rivers around the wedge, the heel twisted at a wrong angle. I eased Finn's hand free and guided him behind a console bank where he could crouch with some metal between him and whatever was breathing on the other side. His eyes met mine, wide and glassy. "Count your breaths," I whispered, quietly. "Don't come out unless I say your name or you hear me fall. If you hear me fall, you run for the door. Understand?" He swallowed hard. "I'm not leaving you. You are if I tell you to," I said, and for a second I let him see it all, the fear, the determination, the promise I've been breaking and reforging since the day he was born. "That's how you keep a promise, Bud. Sometimes you keep it by running." He nodded, jaw trembling, and sank into the shadows. I turned back to the door. My rifle felt too light in my hands, like a toy made of hollow plastic instead of steel and polymer and all the terrible choices that came with it. "On three," I told Morales, taking the side with the hinge. "You kick the shoe out and pull the door. I go in low, you go high. Anything moving gets 2 to the head. Copy." His boots shuffled into position. "3," I said, skipping the first 2 numbers, because sometimes mercy is not giving fear any more time than it already has. Morales snapped his heel against the shoe. Bone crunched. Leather skidded. The door, freed, began to swing shut from its own weight. I slammed my shoulder into it, driving it open, rifle up. The comms room was small and windowless, lined with racks of equipment and blinking status LEDs. The air was thick and sour, the copper tang of blood layered over burned electronics. A body lay just inside the threshold, half in, half out, torso chewed open. The foot was still in the doorway. Morales had just kicked the ankle off. It didn't move. The breathing sound came from deeper in. "Left," Morales hissed. I pivoted. In the far corner, wedged between a rack and the wall, someone huddled beneath a tangle of dangling cables. Their shoulders shook with each ragged inhale. A headset hung around their neck, one ear cup cracked, the mic bent. "Hands where I can see them," I ordered. "Slow." They froze, then lifted shaking hands, revealing a thin wrist with a Comstex blue band. Blood had dried in streaks down their fingers. Their nametag, half obscured by their collar, read Harper. Her eyes, because she was a her, I realized as she turned, were too big in a pale, freckled face. Dark curls stuck to her temples with sweat. "Don't shoot," she rasped. "Please." I'm not like them." Behind me, Morales moved to clear the rest of the room, boot nudging the bodies, rifle tracking. "You bit?" I asked. She shook her head so hard her teeth clicked. "No, it's not," she swallowed. Her gaze flicked to the corpse in the doorway. He was Lieutenant Keene. He turned fast. I locked the door, but her voice broke. "I couldn't reach the colonel in time." "You reached something," Morales said grimly. "This place is a charnel house." Harper's eyes snapped to him. "I kept the external feeds up as long as I could," she said. "You have no idea how bad it is out there." I believed her. But I needed to know how bad it was in here first. "Show me your arms," I said. "Wrists, neck." She obeyed, hands trembling. Her skin was mottled with bruises and smeared with other people's blood. But I saw no bites, no jagged crescents of teeth. I watched her pupils, her breathing. Fast, shallow, but not the ragged, animal panting I'd seen before infection took over. "Check behind her," I told Morales. He swept the corner with the muzzle, then nudged aside a fallen chair with his boot. "Clear." I lowered my rifle a fraction. "Okay, Harper, you're up. What's the situation?" She laughed once, a bitter, broken sound. "Which one? North American continent? Missile command? Or just our lovely little tomb here?" "Start big," I said. She dragged in a breath and pushed herself unsteadily to her feet. I could see the moment her training kicked back in, shoulders straightening, hands finding familiar switches as she brushed past me toward the primary console. "The first reports came in about 2 hours ago," she said, fingers dancing over the keyboard with a ghost of their previous speed. "Clustered incidents in major cities. Riots. Aggressive behavior. Then emergency services went dark. Military channels lit up. Quarantine orders, then nothing. Just static and automated distress." The main screen flickered as she pulled up a feed. The world map reappeared, red warning symbols pulsing over dense clusters. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston. Overseas, London, Berlin, Tokyo, Sydney. Every major population center looked like it was bleeding. "In here?" I asked, because some part of my brain refused to accept that outside could be gone that quickly. "In here, Colonel Hayes declared internal lockdown when the first case hit the infirmary," Harper said. "I was on duty. He told us to seal the control level and wait for NORAD command. Their last instruction was to maintain missile readiness and await further." Her voice cracked. Then the door opened. She pointed at the inner vestibule, where the colonel's body slumped. "Keene came in," she whispered. He'd been topside trying to escort the Family Day civilians to the lower shelters. He looked wrong, sweating, glassy. Hayes told him to report, and Keene he grabbed one of the operators and bit into his face. Like an animal. Her hands started to shake again. She clenched them into fists. "We tried to subdue him," she said. Someone fired a shot. More people were hit than him. Blood everywhere. And then the ones who were bitten. They got back up. She didn't need to finish. The room told the rest of the story. "This is the command node for half the country's missiles," Morales muttered. "Who's got the keys now?" Harper's gaze dropped to the colonel's body. "He broke protocol," she said quietly. "Had both launch keys on him, in case we had to move fast." I stared at the dead man. At the consoles that could, with the right codes, turn most of the world cities into smoking craters. Jake's face rose up in my mind, dust covered in the valley, and behind it, a flash of imagined light brighter than any sun. "Does anyone up chain know we're compromised?" I asked. Harper shook her head. Comms went bad fast. "We got partial messages, something about firewalling compromised facilities, revoking launch authority. Then the secure channel cut." "I think they ghosted us." "Meaning?" Morales asked. "Meaning somewhere above us, someone decided Cheyenne Mountain was either lost or about to be," Harper said. Best case, they cut us out so nobody down here can launch without authorization. Worst case, she hesitated. Worst case, they put us on a self-destruct list, I finished. Harper nodded. There are protocols. If infection or hostile takeover is confirmed in a nuclear facility, there are contingencies. My mouth went dry. What kind of contingencies? She pulled up another screen. A new window blinked with system messages scrolling too fast to read. She tapped a few keys, pausing when the text froze. Biohazard alert internal containment protocol. Omega Gate pending time to execution. 3 hours 42 minutes and 17 seconds. 3 hours and 42 minutes, Harper said softly. That's when the mountain vents. Vents what? Morales demanded, though I already knew. You don't build a bunker like this without planning for the worst. Nerve agent, Harper whispered. Aerosolized. Floods every open compartment. Sterilizes the infection. And everyone breathing? I said. She nodded. 3 hours and change. Added to the 3 we've already spent bleeding and climbing and trying not to die, that would put us just past the 6-hour mark. We still had half the title's 12-hour window left to survive. Can you stop it? I asked. Harper bit her lip. Not from here. The execution command came from topside. We've been downgraded to local control only. I can't cancel a global protocol without a countermand code, and we don't have one. There's always a manual override, Morales said. Mechanical. Physical. Harper hesitated. There is a fail-safe valve in the environmental control level, she admitted. If someone closes it before Omega Gate executes, the agent can't fully cycle through the habitable decks. But you'd have to get to the scrubber hub in level D. That's way below where the infection started, I finished. We all pictured the same thing. The lower infirmaries, the mess, the wreck areas. All the places that would have been packed with families for the tour. And the infection burning through them like fire through dry grass. Can the 3 of us even get down there? Morales asked. We barely made it up. I looked toward the control room entrance. Finn's face peeked around the edge of a console, eyes shining with unshed tears and raw focus. He knew enough not to come closer, but he was listening to every word. We can, I said. We don't have to clear the whole level. Just get to the valve, close it, and get back. We might not get back, Morales said. Then at least my kid has a chance to breathe something that wants to melt his lungs in 4 hours, I snapped. Harper flinched. Morales stared at me for a long second, then looked away. What about sealed compartments? He asked Harper, more gently. If we can't reach the valve, is there anywhere that stays clean? She chewed her thumbnail. The command center and comms room have independent scrubbers, she said. But only if we manually disconnect them from the main environmental trunk. Once Omega Gate starts, any open link becomes a floodgate. So either we go down and choke the mountain, Morales summarized, or we cut ourselves off and hope nobody up there decides to level us from above. Or both, I said. We buy ourselves time either way. Time for what? Harper whispered. I looked at Finn again. At his 2 thin shoulders, the way he clutched the console edge like it was the only solid thing left. Time to survive the first 12 hours, I said. After that, we reassess. It sounded small, spoken aloud, but sometimes survival is just stringing together enough small decisions that you wake up in the next hour. Morales scrubbed a hand over his face. If someone's going down to D, he said, it should be me. I'm faster than you, Sanchez, and the kid needs you more than he needs my charming personality. I'm not sending you alone, I said. I know the layout, Harper cut in. I've worked every level. I can guide you remotely. Remotely won't cut it if we hit locked bulkheads or dead ends, Morales told her. You said there was a physical valve. That means manual access panels, maintenance ladders. You're the one who knows them. Sanchez can't leave the kid. So if anyone goes with me, it's you. Harper blanched. I'm a comms tech, not a soldier. Yeah, Morales said. And I'm a guy with a busted knee and half a mag. The dead don't give a damn about our job descriptions. Silence settled, heavy and bitter. I hated that he was right. I also hated every part of the equation that ended with me staying behind while other people went into hell. Jake would have gone. Jake had gone into that valley with me, trusting my lead. Dad? Finn's voice was small but clear. What are you gonna do? I walked over to him, crouched so we were eye to eye. Up close, I could see streaks of dried blood on his cheek, where the infected had spat on us in the gallery. I'd wiped at them with my sleeve, but missed some. I'm going to keep you breathing, I said. Every decision I make, that's the baseline. But that means sometimes I have to let other people do dangerous things. Things I'd rather do myself. Like Uncle Jake? He asked. The name hit me like a punch. I swallowed around the ache in my throat. Yeah, I said softly. Like Jake. Finn studied me. If you were the one going, what would you tell me? I'd tell you to stay put. Stay quiet. Listen to Morales. Listen to Harper. Keep your head down. He nodded. Then you should stay, he said, voice trembling but sure. So you can tell me that. So I can hear you. Sometimes your kid wins the argument by wanting you alive. I looked back at Morales and Harper. You two gear up, I said. Pack light, burn fast. I'll stay here, lock this place down, and get ready to cut the filters the second you close that valve. Harper opened her mouth to protest, then shut it. Morales just nodded once. On your call, boss, he said. I hated the word, but I didn't correct him. Leaders aren't the ones with stripes. They're the ones people point at when nobody else wants to choose. We scavenged what we could from the control-level spare mags, from dead guards, a flashlight, a half-empty med kit. Morales strapped on a fresh plate carrier. Harper found a pair of too big tactical gloves to pull over her shaking hands. Before they left, I pressed my backup pistol into Harper's palm. You know how to use it? Basic quals, she said. Haven't fired outside the range since. Safety here, I showed her. Tap rack if it jams. Don't wait. Aim for the head. Don't hesitate, she nodded, eyes hardening by degrees. At the control room door, Morales clapped my shoulder. If I get chewed up down there, make sure they spell my name right on the memorial, he said. They wanted to be carving our names into anything if we don't shut that valve, I replied. Then I guess we better get moving, he said, and slipped out, Harper close behind. The door sealed behind them with a heavy click. Suddenly, the vast control center felt even emptier. I stood for a moment, listening to the hum of servers, the faint hiss of air through vents. Somewhere deep in the mountain, alarms continued their muffled wail, a constant reminder that time was bleeding out. Finn edged closer. Are they going to die? He asked. Maybe, I said honestly. But they're doing it so you don't have to. He nodded slowly, like he was filing that away in the same place he kept math facts and movie quotes. Come on, I said. We've got work to do too. We moved to the environmental controls console. Harper had left a schematic up, a branching diagram of the mountain's air system, colored lines showing flow paths. The main trunk that would carry the nerve agent, the secondary loops that fed essential compartments. I traced the routes with my finger. The valve in level D sat like a choke point, a tiny icon that now held all our futures. Okay, I muttered. Once they close that, Here, I pointed to a junction. We throw these breakers, isolate the command and come scrubbers, and hope the system doesn't decide to be clever and reroute. You talk to yourself a lot now, Finn observed. Helps me think, I said. Also lets you know what I'm thinking. If anything happens to me, don't, he said sharply. Don't say that? I shut my mouth. We worked in silence instead, him standing on the rolling chair so he could see the top of the panel, me guiding his hand to the switches. Minutes crawled. Every so often, the radio on Harper's deserted console crackled with distant voices, shredded syllables from who knew where. Once I heard someone scream, "They're inside the wire," before the transmission cut off. Another time, a calm, automated voice droned, "This is a message from the emergency alert system. Seek immediate shelter. Do not approach infected individuals. If bitten," and then dissolved into static. My watch ticked to 15:30, then 1600. No word from Morales or Harper. Shouldn't they have called by now? Finn asked. "They're moving through a lot of bad ground," I said. "Comms might be spotty. Or they're staying radio silent so they don't draw attention. Or they're busy," I cut in. "We don't assume the worst until it knocks on the door." He nodded, but his grip on my sleeve tightened. When the radio finally clicked, we both jumped. "Command, this is Morales," came through, his voice distorted but intelligible. "You copy?" I snatched the handset. "Loud and clear. Status?" "Ugly," he said. "We bypassed main corridors, took maintenance ducts, lost 2 doors to overrides, had to weld one shut behind us. Level D it's bad, Sanchez. There are a lot of people down here." "Alive?" I asked. "Not anymore," he replied after a beat. I closed my eyes for a second. "The valve?" "Harper's working on it," he said. Faintly, I could hear the clank of tools, Harper's muttered curses. "Panels corroded. Gonna take a minute." "We don't have a minute," I said. "Omega Gate executes in—" I checked the timer on Harper's screen. 2 hours 51. "Copy your concern, Dad," Morales said dryly. "We're moving as fast as we can." "Stand by." The line went dead again. Time stretched. I paced the length of the control room and back, over and over, until Finn grabbed my sleeve. "You're making me nervous," he said. "Already nervous," I corrected, but I forced myself to stop. I tried to imagine what Morales and Harper were seeing. Dark corridors slick with blood, bodies crammed against doors, the flicker of emergency lights on walls, smeared with handprints. I pictured Harper's hands, steadying as she put wrench to metal, Morales watching her back. I promised myself that if they made it back, I'd find a way to make sure neither of them ever had to see another dead thing again. The radio crackled once more. "Valve's halfway," Harper's voice panted. "It's stiff." "We had to clear 3-4, she gagged, retched. I heard Morales murmur something reassuring off mic. "Sorry, they were kids." My throat closed. "Harper," I said, "don't look at them. Just the metal in front of you. You close that valve, you make sure no more kids up here have to breathe that gas. Focus on that." A beat of silence. Then steadier. "Copy." Focusing. The minutes that followed were some of the longest of my life. Longer than waiting for medevac under fire. Longer than sitting in a Humvee chassis while engineers checked for secondary devices. On the screen, the Omega Gate countdown ticked past 2.5 hours. Each second felt like a footstep behind us. Then the schematic refreshed with a soft chime. The main trunk line to the habitable decks flashed red. Flow interrupted. "Talk to me," I demanded into the handset. "Valve is closed," Harper gasped. "Manual override engaged. We had to use a pipe for leverage. It's not opening again without heavy tools." Relief hit so hard, my legs went weak. I sagged against the console. "Good work," I said. "Now get your asses back up here." "About that," Morales said. I straightened. "What now?" "We picked up some company on the way in," he said. "They're persistent. We can't go back the way we came. Too many bodies in the ducts now. We're going to try for the east stairwell." "The east stairwell's supposed to be sealed at level C," Harper cut in faintly. "Supposed to be," Morales agreed. "But the fire doors failed in a lot of places. We'll improvise." Improvising got Jake killed, a voice in my head whispered. "Negative," I said. "Harper, Is there any route you can guide them through that keeps them in maintenance shafts? Anything that doesn't drop them into the main corridors? She clattered keys on her end. There's a service lift that runs parallel to the east stairs, she said. Emergency only. It might still have power. Might isn't exactly, Morales began. It's better than stairs full of biters, I snapped. Harper, patch the route to Morales' wrist unit and keep talking them through it. We'll prep the isolation on this end. Copy, she said. For the next 90 minutes, our world shrank to blinking lights and static, and the sound of other people fighting for their lives somewhere far below our feet. Sometimes we heard gunfire echo faintly through the mountain. Sometimes we heard nothing at all, which was worse. The Omega Gate countdown slid past 90 minutes. Then 60. At 43 minutes, the environmental console flashed a new warning. Pressure anomaly, level D, Harper? I said, what's happening down there? Her reply was drowned out by a screech of metal that made me rip the headset away from my ear. Finn clamped his hands over his own. Say again, I barked. The lift, she gasped. They overloaded it. Too many. Too many bodies. Cables snapped. We're okay. We bailed into a side shaft, but the lift dropped. They're all down there now. A mental image. A steel box choked with flailing limbs and snapping teeth, plummeting into dark. I forced it aside. Route? I asked. New one, she said. Wet access. Narrow. Smells like sewage. The dead don't like the water as much. Maybe. I don't know. A hysterical laugh. We're improvising, remember? I wanted to be down there with them, so badly my teeth hurt. Instead, I checked our own systems again. With the main trunk choked, I could isolate command and comms with a few switches. I waited until the countdown hit 15 minutes, then met Finn's eyes. This is it, I said. Once I throw these, we're on our own air. No outside circulation, no tie to the rest of the mountain. Is that good? He asked. It's survivable, I said. Sometimes that's the best we get. I flipped the switches. A low thump reverberated through the walls as dampers slid into place. The air took on a slightly different taste, a faint tang of ozone as scrubbers spun up. On the big screen, the Omega Gate countdown continued its relentless march. Morales, Harper, I said. We're isolated on this end. Valves closed, compartments cut. You need to get here before the clock hits 0, or we can't help you if your side floods. We're moving, Morales grunted. Wet access is cramped. I haven't been this cozy with a pipe since basic. Finn gave a tiny huff that might have been a laugh if the world weren't ending. 5 minutes. 4. 3. At 2 minutes and change, the external cameras flickered, cleared, and showed me something new. Up on the surface, the blast doors that sealed the mountain as main entrance were no longer just smeared with scratches and blood. They were covered in bodies. Dozens, no, hundreds of infected pressed against the steel, climbing over each other in a shifting, writhing mass. Some slammed fists and heads into the metal until they split skin and cracked bone. Others simply stared at the door with unnerving intent, as if they could smell the living air behind it. The external mic picked up the sound, a low, continuous moan, threaded with shrieks. It was like listening to a storm made of human throats. Dad, Finn whispered. Are they going to get in? Not through those, I said, more confident than I felt. Those doors are rated to take a direct hit. What about the vents? He asked. I flicked through more camera feeds. Most showed static or black, but a few revealed narrow concrete channels along the mountain's flanks. Some grates had already been torn away. In one, a single infected crawled, shoulders scraping, jaw working as it pulled itself deeper like some obscene insect. They're learning, I murmured. The countdown hit 60 seconds. A soft chime sounded, and a calm synthetic voice filled the command center. Attention. Omega Gate execution in T-1 minute. All personnel secure in designated containment zones. This is an automated message. Morales? I shouted into the handset. Harper? Where are you? Static. Come on, I snarled. Talk to me. At 27 seconds, a burst of noise erupted, panting. Boots slamming metal. Almost there, Harper gasped. Stairwell breached on level B. Had to reroute. Morales is... A gunshot cracked over the line. Finn flinched. Morales! I yelled. I'm good, he grunted. Harper's a crack shot when she's scared. Door in sight. Hold that gas, Sanchez. 10 seconds. 9. I put the handset down and grabbed Finn's shoulders, turning him so he faced me instead of the screen. Whatever happens, I said, forcing each word through a throat gone tight. You keep your mask on if we have to put them on. You don't take it off unless I tell you. You stay low. You count my breaths, he finished. Yeah, I said. Count your breaths. 5, 4, 3. The main door to the command center slammed open. Morales burst through first, limping worse than before, rifle in one hand, the other clamped to his side, where blood blossomed through his vest. Harper stumbled behind him, soaked to mid-thigh, face streaked with grime and something darker. They crossed the threshold as the countdown hit 1. Close it, Morales roared. I hit the emergency seal. The door thundered shut, locking with a series of heavy clacks. The Omega Gate timer hit 0. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the mountain exhaled. Through the environmental panel, I watched pressure readings spike in the lower levels. Valves opened in compartments we'd cut ourselves off from. Gas surged through ducts and vents, flooding spaces where the infected roamed. Harper staggered to the console, slapped on a headset, and began isolating feeds. Her hands moved on autopilot, eyes bright with shock. We're holding, she said hoarsely. Our loop is clean. Valve integrity is 98%. Some minor backwash in non-essential corridors, but we did it. We just watched a mountain kill most of what was left inside it. Morales slumped against the console, sliding down until he sat with his back to it. Finn hovered nearby, eyes fixed on the spreading stain at his side. Let me see, I said, dropping to my knees. It's a scratch, Morales lied. I peeled his hand away. Under the torn vest and shredded fabric, I found a deep gouge along his ribs. The pattern wasn't teeth. It was more like he'd been raked by rebar or caught on twisted metal. Lift your arm, I ordered. He did, wincing. No other wounds, no bites. I exhaled. You'll live. Damn, he muttered. There goes my dramatic last stand. Finn snorted weightily. Harper sagged into a chair, staring at the main screen. We're cut off from the lower decks, she said quietly. Environmental comes everything. Whatever didn't die from the gas is trapped. Whatever did is. It's just going to lie there. Until someone opens a door, I said. Until no one's left to open anything, she countered. Outside, the infected still battered the surface doors, oblivious to the invisible death we'd just sent through their cousins below. My watch read 18:15. We'd survived 6 hours. Halfway through. As the adrenaline ebbed, a new weight settled in my chest. It wasn't just exhaustion or grief. It was the realization that we'd just helped turn a mountain base into a tomb to save a handful of lungs. How long can we stay up here? Finn asked. With our own air and food and stuff? Long time, Harper said mechanically. Months, years if we ration. We were built to ride out worst-case scenarios. This is the worst-case scenario, Morales pointed out. Then we're doing what we were built to do, she said. I looked at the world map, at the red blotches blooming over cities I'd visited, flown through, passed by without really seeing. Places where people like Finn were counting breaths and hoping their parents made the right bad choices. What about up there? I asked Harper, nodding at the screen. Is anyone coordinating? Any central authority? She hesitated. One channel keeps pinging, she said. Ultra-low frequency. Bunker to bunker net. I didn't have time to trace it before. Now. She rolled her chair closer and tapped keys. A new window opened. A list of facility codes scrolled past. Most marked nitrogen monoxide response. A few blinked active. At the top of the list, a single call sign flashed over and over. Stratcom Alpha. Somebody's still talking, Harper breathed. A line of text appeared in the console log as she watched. All remaining strategic assets. Report status. Strategic assets, Morales repeated. That us? Harper nodded slowly. Cheyenne Mountain. Missile Command. We're still tagged as active in the network. Can they launch from us? I asked. Remotely. Not without a human turning keys, she said. That's why they ghosted us. But if we answer, they'll know we're still here. Still capable. And if they're desperate enough, Morales said grimly, they might ask us to light up half the planet to contain this. I pictured a ring of fire around infected zones. Cities turned to glass to stop something that might already be everywhere. Jake had died because I'd gambled with one valley. This was the same choice, scaled up until the numbers were too big to hold in my head. Can we take ourselves off the board? I asked. Harper blinked. You mean surrender launch capability? Permanently, I said. Make sure nobody can use what's in this mountain to add more dead to the pile. She hesitated. That kind of sabotage it crosses a lot of lines. So does gassing an entire base, Morales said. Lines are already chalk in the wind. Harper's fingers hovered over the keys. If we break the command link, physically damage certain subsystems, we could render our birds inert, she said slowly. But if command finds out, if command is still sane, they'll understand, I said. If they're not. I'm not taking orders from a voice that wants to trade Kansas City for a few extra hours of denial. Finn tugged on my sleeve. Bad? Yeah? If the missiles can't launch, he said, does that mean we can't, fix it later? If we need them to stop the zombies? I looked at him. You think nukes fix this? He shrugged helplessly. In the movies. Sometimes. In the movies, the smoke clears and the credits roll, I said. In real life, there's fallout, wind, people who weren't part of the problem breathing poison for generations. He studied me, and I knew he was hearing more than just an answer to his question. He was hearing everything I'd never said about the valley, about why Jake never came home. If you think it's right, he said quietly, then do it. Harper swallowed. I'll need help pulling the breakers, she said. It's not just software. There are physical interlocks in the launch gallery. The same gallery we just walked over full of twitchers, Morales reminded her. Most of them are dead by now, I said. And we know the route. Finn stiffened. You're going back down there? Short trip, I said. In and out. You stay here with Harper once she gets the commands queued. Morales and I will handle the hardware. Morales groaned. I just got back from the murder basement. You wanted a dramatic last stand, I said. Here's your shot, he snorted. Fine. Let's go make world peace with a pair of wire cutters. We moved fast. There was no point in waiting. Time only gave the dead more chances to find creative ways to reach us. Back in the gallery, the air was heavier, laden with the chemical tang of the nerve agent that had seeped into cracks and low places even this high. We double-masked, eyes stinging behind goggles. The bodies we'd stepped around before lay still now. No twitches, no groans, just broken shapes on cold concrete. Feels like walking through a cemetery someone forgot to bury, Morales muttered. At least they're quiet, I said. We reached the launch control interfaces at the base of the nearest missile. Harper's voice came through our earpieces, guiding us. Remove panel L-17, she said. you'll see 3 main couplers. You want the ones labeled Bissa and Bisbee. Sever both, physically. No going back. I pried the panel open. Inside, thick braided cables ran to a nest of hardware. My hands shook a little as I selected the right ones. You sure about this? Morales asked. No, I said. But I'm more sure about not letting anyone use this place as a trigger again. We cut the cables. The act felt small, just metal on metal. A spark, a whiff of ozone. But somewhere in the system, alarms began to chime. On the main screen back upstairs, I knew warnings were flashing. Command link failure. Asset non-responsive. We did the same to the second missile, then a third. A reserve I hadn't even realized was armed. By the time we were done, my arms ached from holding tools steady. Morale's bandage had soaked through. He leaned more heavily on the rail. Command, this is the gallery, I said into my mic. We're cut. How's it look up there? Harper's voice trembled in my ear. It looks irreversible, she said. We just turned Cheyenne Mountain into the world's most overbuilt fallout shelter. Good, I said. Stratcom is pinging harder, she added. Multiple queries. Report status. Confirm readiness. They're not going to like our silence. Let them be mad, Morales said. They're not the ones stuck in here with a kid. We started back. As we passed the far end of the gallery, one of the dead twitched. I froze, rifle up. The tech's body lay where it had fallen earlier, but one hand spasmed. Not the clumsy scrabbling of infection. More like an electrical misfire. Harper, I said quietly, you're sure the agent works on them? Every metric says lethality is near total, she replied. Why? Because one of them just moved, I said. She went silent for a heartbeat. It could be residual nerve activity, she said. Post-mortem firing. Nothing to do with the infection. Or the infection rides nervous systems like horses, Morales muttered. And some of the saddles are still warm. We didn't wait around to find out which. Back in command, the air felt both safer and thinner, like we'd carved ourselves a bubble out of the world, and were now floating in it, untethered. Harper showed us the updates. Our facility code now flashed in red on the Stratcom log, tagged with multiple system failures. After a few minutes, the incoming queries stopped. Either they've written us off, she said, or they have bigger problems. Both, Morales suggested. My watch read 2,330. 11.5 hours since Jensen had bitten the nurse. Finn dozed in a swivel chair, sheet pressed to his knees, fingers still hooked in my belt loop. I'd tried to move away once. He'd made a small, panicked sound even in sleep, so I'd stayed. Harper cycled through external feeds in a loop. The horde at the blast doors had thinned slightly. Some bodies lay at the base, trampled into unrecognizable pulp. Others still clawed and pounded. In the distance, over the plains, we saw fires. Not city-sized, not nuclear smaller, more intimate, towns burning. You should sleep, I told her. She shook her head. If I close my eyes, I'll see the kids, she whispered. I didn't argue. Instead, I watched the world try to tear itself apart on 100 little screens. At 012 hours, on the dot the Stratcom channel, chimed one last time. A text-only message scrolled across the log. All surviving facilities. Hold. Stand by for further instructions. I stared at the words. Further instructions from who? Morales asked. No answer came. Outside, the infected pressed on our doors. Inside, we sat in a command center, full of dead controls and blinking lights, cut off from every system, except the ones keeping us breathing. We'd survived the first 12 hours of the zombie apocalypse inside a mountain missile base. Now we had to figure out how to live with what we'd done, and what came next. On one of the side monitors, something new flickered a drone's eye view from somewhere over Colorado Springs, camera feed shaky. For a moment, It showed a mass of infected flowing down a highway like a living river. Then the feed lurched, tilted to the sky. A shadow passed over the frame. Not a plane. Bigger, closer. The video cut. Harper stared. What the hell was that? Before I could answer, an alert popped up on the perimeter sensors. Unidentified aerial contact approaching mountain airspace. Morales looked at me. Think rescuers finally decided to show up? I watched the blip on the screen grow closer, climbing over the last ridges toward our sealed mountain. I don't know, I said. But whatever's coming, it knows we're still here. The external cameras auto-tracked, their lenses whirring as they tilted up toward the sky. On the grainy night vision feed, a dark shape crested the horizon, rotors turning without lights, moving low and fast. My heart kicked. Everyone up, I said, hand finding Finn's shoulder, shaking him gently awake. Eyes on the screens. Our 12 hours are up. The helicopter, if that's what it was, bore no markings I could see. It slowed above the outer gate, hovering as if inspecting the writhing carpet of infected below. Then, with terrifying deliberation, it turned its nose toward the main ventilation tower that fed our sealed command loop. A hatch on its side slid open. 2 more great stories are next. Don't miss them. Subscribe and turn on notifications.